And we're back. I'm in charge. It's me, the leader.
Oh my god, when Mariah listens to this, dude. Alright, well, if you're the leader, bring us in.
No, we gotta banter first. How are you, Kenzie?
Bro, I cried today, but I'm fine now.
Fantastic. I'm great, guys.
I'm great, guys. I'm your host, Kailen. And this is my depressed host.
So that's news anchor, like, man, Kailen, and then, like, if I want to do YouTuber Kailen, it'll be like, hey guys, welcome back. Like, today we reviewed Mean Girls. It was my first time watching it. I know. Crazy.
Oh my god, guys. Welcome back to today's episode. We're reviewing
We're really quick. A moment for our sponsors. What keeps us going. So just a moment of your times. The tampon for every girl.
All right. Shut up.
All right. Bring us in, Kinsey.
No, you do it. I am the one showing
I'm the boss.
No.
Oh, okay. You're listening to Comatoses. You're listening to Post-Credit Depression, where we discuss this week's current hyperfixation. My name is Kailen, and I just bought 300 keychains. No context.
My name's Kinsey, and I accidentally bought 2 lip stains of the same color, so Kailen will be buying one.
Yep. So fetch.
Kailen! Alright, so if you guys have watched or listened to our podcast, then you know we make stupid names that I started, by the way. We make little namey names at the bottom of our screens based off whatever we watch. So Kailen's is, what is it, Kailen?
Justice for Regina.
And mine is So Fetch. And Mariah, who is not here, does not have one because she's not here. So we're not going to talk about her on this episode. So this week, I decided to show Mean Girls. I run out of things on my list, so I need to make a new one. But I wanted to show Mean Girls because I straight up think that there is an era in the early 2000s of movies that not just are iconically made. Like, when you watch it now, you wouldn't even think that it was, like, produced or edited or some shit. Like, you know, not currently.
Perfection.
Like, it doesn't seem like something that's out of date. It like the humor and the quality and like whoever storyboarded it. I don't know. I feel like I'm watching.
I think it's because they kept it right at high school. Like, I feel like high school is pretty universal like that. There were a few dated things.
I don't know. Because like what I'm talking about is the quality of the entire movie. Because if you look at like
quality.
What's that movie on Netflix? To All the Boys I Loved Before or something. Like, when you look at the editing, it really does feel like 2020 and above, you know? Like, I feel like in the next 10 years, I will be like, that movie was from this time era. And, like, obviously, when you watch Mean Girls, like, they're wearing a lot of early 2000s clothes. So that's, like, the biggest, like, you know,
I also think that...
What it is. But what I'm saying is, like, the way it was produced kind of feels like a type of high school movie that any girl from now for the next 50 years will be like, yeah, this is funny.
So I'm curious because once I got out of high school, and also I went to high school in the South, which that's automatically going to stay 50 years back, even in today's like world. But when I went to college, obviously we went to a much more progressive college where, you know, queer conversations and queer spaces were a lot more like just normalized. Now, I think that I'm not a youth in today's high school, and I think that schools could still be very homophobic, but the way that it was like really taboo for me, I'm like, I don't know if that dates it or if it's still, I mean, I'm sure for some people it's still relatable, like a girl, like, I don't know, outing you or shit like that.
I don't think that they were trying to make being gay taboo, because clearly he was very comfortable, like the Damien was comfortable being gay, and like the people who were cool, like who didn't care about gayness, were like chill about it.
True, but it's what she was bullying the one girl for.
Yeah, but let me get to that. What I think they're trying to say is, regardless of what high school you go to, even nowadays, I know gayness is normalized, but in high school, when people are like going through puberty, there's a ton of really bitchy girls who look at how progressive the world is today, and people are still being bullied for if you're gay, lesbian, whatever
True.
the fuck. Like, I bet I could walk into my high school and like kind of like those undercover cops that I don't agree with, pull up as a teenager and just like listen. Like, I'll be like, oh, like I'm an exchange student or whatever. Sit down, meet a bunch of friends, see how they talk, and be like, ask them the beef, like what's the school like what are the people like, and they instantly would probably tell me like what the cliques were, who obviously are the most popular girls, what those popular girls are like, and what they make fun of people for. Because I think in high school, when everybody's hormones are raging and everything, first of all, your frontal lobe is not developed, so you're like 10 times more of a douchebag than like what you'll probably be as an adult.
Is that why?
Even what?
Lobes.
Frontal lobe.
Yep.
Even obviously, I think any of us have said things from our high school days that we do not agree with now.
Yeah, been there.
I don't know. I think because your hormones are running and everybody's like going through intense puberty, like straight up like conversations about sex and like partners and all that stuff are like for the first time ever in your life swirling around you, and it's all new and it's all crazy, and like if straight relationships are feeling new, I feel like there's so much room for people to really come after gay people.
True.
Or people who are perceived gay, and make it feel like 10 times worse. Because right now in society, even if like gay relationships are more accepted, they're still not treated as the norm. Like, we, as the progressive people we are, understand that being straight, gay, or whatever the fuck is all normal, all the same. There's nothing like, there's not one that's more preferred over the other. But
you make good points, all good points. I think that's what I was saying is like, I've been so distant to it where I'm like, for example, we went to college and like that shit, homophobia and all that shit didn't really fly.
Oh.
Like, you would fucking get like, honestly, tackled before you could even like,
if anything, the gays outnumbered the straights in our art school.
Exactly.
But I came from a very similar public school. Not like exactly because they were like exaggerated, but I thought I was liberal when I was in high school, and then I got to college and I was like, oh shit, like I guess I did come from more of a conservative town. I didn't even know that they them pronouns existed my freshman year of college until day one of orientation. And I was like, oh shit, like I don't know what I'm talking about, So I don't know. I thought it was pretty realistic for like being in a conservative town full of closed-minded hoes,
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is like the banter and the way that they would, not healthy banter, the way that they would treat students that clearly seemed different. They used it as like a derogatory thing. Like they were like, she's a lesbian,
Right. Which obviously, like, even at that age, like, you're already insecure about that because, like, whether it's your family that's, like, tabooed it or whatever, it's just, like, it's not really something you want really aired out there. So.
Yeah, I mean, you remember when Regina said we couldn't have her spend the night? Like, if she's a lesbian, like, there was going to be girls there. So, like, when there's people that
I was going to bring that part up. Yeah, because the thing is that is a coin toss. And at the end of the day, it's weird. It's 50-50 because, for example, I'm bisexual and I'm not attracted to my platonic friends. Like, it's the same, like, if you ask a straight guy, is he attracted to every single woman in the world? Like, you show him every single photo of every single woman, the answer is going to be no, he's not. And that's the same thing for queer people.
Yeah,
so yes, but
it was not cool at all.
No, it wasn't cool the way she said it. I will say that it depends on, like, for example, kids and teenagers of all ages do have raging hormones, and if you knew your friend was a raging lesbian and you just did not feel comfortable with spending the night with her, just because, like, it could be the vibes. Like, if you could feel like, oh, I think she's looking at me a little different. Yeah.
I think it comes down to the specific person.
Case by case.
Right. Yeah. So, like, if this case was somebody like a girl who was hitting on you or really making some subtle, like, things that none of your straight homies do, like, then I could see you being like, maybe you shouldn't come. But, like, like we said before saying this, is that the way Regina said that wasn't cool, because that doesn't mean you're attracted to every fucking girl. That doesn't mean you're gonna go up to her and start touching her. Like, you wouldn't even do that to somebody you like, because that is assault.
You wouldn't even do that to straight people, or you shouldn't.
Well, like, that's categorized as assault. So, like, yeah, that was shitty that she said that. But now that we're talking about what I'm showing this week a little bit more in detail, I wanted to ask you some questions, Kailen.
What's up?
Because, you like didn't get to watch High School Musical, these very, very big milestones for 2000 kids. So I wanted to ask you some things that you thought about the movie. So,
yeah, what's up? First up,
what did you think about the cliques and the way that they portrayed them in the high school? Did you feel like that they missed some cliques? Did you feel like it was accurate? Did you feel like it was like too intense, not intense enough? Like, what did you think about the cliques?
I found it pretty accurate. And like, to just jump off the deep end, I am from very Southern Belt, Mississippi. Very racist people down there. Also very cool people down there. It's not all, racist, but it's very racist. I think that caused a lot of, disjointed communities among students. So I noticed a lot of Black people would sit next to each other at the table with no white people being there, probably because they didn't feel comfortable in certain white spaces. So they would just, avoid, racism.
Yeah, honestly, totally,
I get it.
And that.
Yeah. A lot of like redneck attire, like camouflage everywhere. Band kids, the weird band kids, that was funny. Or what did they say? The horny band kids? That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm sorry. I don't know about you. For my high school, like, all the band kids were banging each other. And,
I either sat at the horny band kids table or the horny theater kid table. That's the two tables I sat at. Or sometimes the autistic table.
Yeah. It's like different groups, though. Like, the horny band kids and the horny theater kids were similar, but they kind of had different vibes,
Yeah. There's obviously your like cliquey, more popular tables, but I think when I got to Ohio, I immediately went towards the table that had 3DSs because I had a 3DS and I said, "Can I play Mario Kart with you guys?" That's what I.
What did you think about their depiction in the movie? Did you like?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty accurate. Yeah, and that's the thing is, not that I think it should be that way, but when you don't feel safe around other people who point out your differences, you will, just like I mentioned, I found a group. I was like, they have 3DSs. I want to go sit with them because we have something in common. And you feel just a little bit protected by like your community of people like you. So I understand why students and, children do that. There's I feel like a reason for the cliques because you're not going to feel safe just like with any random lacking lobe children,
Yeah, I think during that time in your life, like, you're changing so much, not just physically, but like mentally, and it's just like a very insecure time. I feel like for everybody, and everyone clings to the groups that they feel the most comfortable with. But what did you think about the depiction of the most popular girls? Obviously the plastics, but like kind of how they would tier the women in the movie, going from like, you don't have to mention each group. I'm just saying, like, did you feel like the popular girls at your school were like that at the top and the ones that like kind of followed beneath them?
Mm-hmm.
I know, I felt the same way.
Yes.
Like, we had like the A-lister, like, most popular girls where they could ask any guy out and a guy was gonna say yes.
Yeah. And it's so interesting too because it's like and I think every kid was just out to trying to be happy, but there were just a few, like, literally like the word mean girls where they were just like nasty and like, ugh.
Was your school small or was it big?
It was both. Middle school small and then high school got bigger, but like,
how big though? How many students in your grade?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Nah.
I had like 300. 300
that's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. Or
yeah, mine might have been a similar amount.
I had a little less than 200 though, actually. Yeah. We had a smaller grade. But they
mine could have been similar.
The popular girlies, bro, were like scary. They were scary. you walk up to their table and like they instantly were like they had something to say, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, all right. So when it came down to the plastics specifically, what did you think about each one of them? What were your like first impressions, you know, and then like their character overall?
I thought the meanest one, and probably mixtured with the most insecure one, was the darker haired one. What's her name?
Dang, the freaking podcast listeners are gonna be like, dude, did she even watch the movie? There was
Hold
Regina.
on, I got you. I'm gonna look up mean girl names.
For some reason, it always sounds like a candy bar to me.
Name. Gretchen.
I don't know why. It sounds like a
Gretchen, Karen, and Regina.
Okay, yeah. So
her last name's Wieners. That's funny.
Gretchen Wieners.
I thought she was the most insecure. I actually, if you want to think about it, God, I'll save her for last. Actually, I'm gonna come back around because I gotta wrap it up. Karen was like, she was mean, but like I feel like it was just like dumb kid mean. You know, like those kids that like would like giggle at dick butt jokes. Like that was her.
Yeah, but
like
she would still lie. Like she reminded me of like a girl that was like dumb and chill and kind of happened to find her way into this friend group and then chose to act the way she did to survive in it. So like I feel like you saw on the phone call, the four-way phone calls and stuff like that, where she'd be like, "Oh my god, she's so annoying. Hey, I missed you." Like she was still doing that stuff too. But I literally,
same.
I kind of felt like Karen atrocities that she committed were so much smaller than the other two girls. Mm-hmm. So I never really had a problem with her.
Yeah, I get like probably the most innocent. Regina definitely, she was a cunt, but like when I get into Katie's crimes, like they're I'll tell you the differences. She was a rumor starter. She didn't have like great, judgments on people, like, fat phobic and just, but I feel like aren't a lot of teens, even the nerdy ones, aren't a lot of them just like very judgy. I remember at least being really insecure about myself and projecting those insecurities on other people in high school because you're just not developed.
Well, I mean,
I wouldn't bully people, but
when I'm looking back at it, when I'm looking at the movie as an adult, I'm like, okay, you guys are literally all this stuff is really not that deep. You're all so insecure. That's why you have so much to say about somebody else. Because if you're saying how fat somebody is, it's because you feel like you're fat because you think it's bad. Like,
yeah, the whole movie, she's like, I need to lose 3 pounds. Like, it was like one of her number one things was her body image.
Regina still spread rumors around about people.
That's not good.
That's not good.
But onto Gretchen and Katie. Wow, her name is spelled so awful. I know that was like a running joke in the movie too. Gretchen was really insecure, and I feel like really feeding off, like, you've seen the 2 popular girls at school too, the one that actually was the popular one and the one that literally like fed off of that popular one's light because they didn't have their own light to shine. That's who she reminded me of.
Little things that follow sharks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't have a personality, so I'm literally leeching off of yours. And I think once Katie started socializing and realizing how different she was, like I felt like she was like trying to mimic Regina as well, which is why like both of their characters are kind of similar in that sense, that they both were trying to mimic Regina. And then to go on to like, I don't think Gretchen did anything, as horrible as talking shit and being as mean as Regina, but Katie going out of her way, like the teacher thing, too far. Like, girl, that teacher was only ever trying to help you. She was stupid as hell for pretending to be dumb in that class to look cool for that boy. Like, I was actually surprised that she would probably be like literally the meanest one out of all of them when you really think about it. The most manipulative, and like just the shit, like just because they're being dicks, it's like you are supposed to ignore them, and unless a bully's like relentlessly coming after you, just like let it go. Like, really, like,
bro, I gotta mention Katie's friend. What was her name?
Hold on, I got you.
Black hair.
Janice.
The thing about Janice is I like her character to an extent. I actually like Damien more. But the crazy thing is that Janice was ass deep into this plan from the beginning and for quite some time after that. Like,
it's giving me when I Scorpio moon stalk someone for a while and then you really just gotta like pull the plug. Like you're like, let it go, dude. Let it go.
I think Janice was like really hyper fixated on all of it, just as bad as Katie was, but then got to a point where she was just like living her life and was like doing her thing. So when she saw Katie continuing, even though, think about this, they purposely put Katie into the plastic. So if you think about it realistically, of course, Katie being around it 24/7 was going to become consumed by it at some point, compared to Janice, who was not around the plastics 24/7. Like, literally, Katie became the fourth plastic. And the plastics, the way they act, they're always with each other 24/7. They were literally like, she's like, I want to do mathletes. And they're like, no, like, you can hang out with us, like, after school, during school, before school, you know, like, it was like 24/7. And for Janice to kind of like, I don't know, kind of act like she was never as intensely into it. Like, maybe she didn't get to the level of Katie, but Katie was there in it. So to me, it almost makes sense. It's like, you built Frankenstein, like, you kind of built this monster. Now Katie has to take responsibility at the end of the day. She's not like some puppet, but she was at first, you know? So I didn't really like how Janice, like, there was a point in the movie, in the middle of it, where you could tell Katie was kind of like blending too much into the plastics, and Janice should have pulled her aside, like, incessantly until she was available and been like, we need to talk. You're starting to act a lot like a plastic. Like, are you okay? But instead, I noticed her and Damien just let Katie go do whatever she wanted when they were the ones that pushed her into it in the first place. Like intensely. They're like, we're going to ruin her body. We're going to take away her boyfriend. We're going to turn her friends against her. Like, they all made that plan together. And technically, Janice was the one that put it together, the mastermind. Katie was the one that completed it. Okay. So I just feel like if Katie
it's
was
just the way
friend,
she took to it. So like, that's the thing, is she still did it. You know what I mean?
No. Listen. Yes, Katie still did all those bad things. I'm saying, as Janice, if I was Janice and I was that Scorpio moon ass deep into our plan, and then I noticed my friend getting a little too, like, becoming the plan and not just acting as a plastic, like, for, you know, as an actress, I would pull her aside. I don't care if it took me a week to be like, you will be putting some time aside where you are not talking to the plastics for at least 2 hours so we can sit down and we can talk about this. But it just kind of felt like they just like tried once and then they gave up. They kind of half-assed tried too, because they were more so saying like, you're busy with the plastics, like, you don't want to go do this with us. Like, you never actually confronted her and said that it was bothering you. And I think, being teenagers, Katie straight up just got, with, you know, no frontal lobe, cooked. I think she just kind of got addicted in a sense to what they were going on. It kind of felt like an introduction to like drugs or like alcohol, where like you fuck around with it and then you get fucking addicted. Like, I feel like they put her in shark infested waters and then we're like, oh, they never did anything about it. Now, I think Katie went crazy and like did tons of nuts stuff, even by herself. And I don't like her. Like, but still, I never really liked how Janice like didn't try a little harder to like intervene when she was the one that pushed Katie to do it in the first place. So,
yeah. No, I know. There's definitely, like, obviously, I think, weirdly enough, Janice reminds me a little bit of me in some ways. Like, I never really felt like one of the popular girls. I very much was like an under the radar, had like the kind of geekier friends, and when I would brush up against like quote unquote more popular people and they would just say something mean, like, I think it's my water signs, my Cancer sun and my Scorpio moon took it so deeply personally, whereas like as an adult who's like just lived life and looked back on it, it's like, whether they were doing it because it made themselves feel better or they were insecure or they simply like found pleasure, entertainment out of like, you know, getting a rise out of, you know, somebody, I would get that deeply into like, you know, just not understanding why mean people could get away with certain things. I would feel unfair, and it would lead to like kind of like these revenge fantasies of like, oh my God, like I hope that they get their karma or this and that. And it's not really healthy to obsess about it. And I think Janice is that character. character that has obviously fixated on it enough to come up with plans like ruining her body, you know?
Well, I understand where Janice was coming from. Her literal, like, Regina basically ruined her entire reputation, if you remember the movie. Like, she spread rumors around about her being a lesbian, and clearly Janice didn't even like talking about that, which means whether it was true or not, it's a conversation that she knew would be social suicide, as they like to say in the movie. And people, like, if you look at their friend group, they called them the artsy weirdos, the art club weirdos, and they were putting meat on their face and stuff like that in the lunchroom. So like Janice and Damien were part of like quirky, you know, individual, the cool people in my opinion. Okay. So Janice already had a small friend group, so I could see why she was that upset. I actually was never really upset that she came up with the plan, even though I think it's an incredibly toxic and unhealthy one. I was upset that she didn't go out of her way to like stop her friend from evolving into this monster. Like, if she would have at least tried, I would have given her a gold star, because really you can only do 50%. You got to go up to your friend and say, hey, you're acting up. And if your friend doesn't do anything about it, then it obviously goes on to your friend. It's their fault that they let themselves become a plastic. But
yeah,
that's my beef with Janice. I think Damien's funny. I kind of don't have beef with him because he made me laugh the whole movie, so I don't care. But what did you think about like what did you think about like the relationships in the movie, like the way that love was portrayed? Like, did you kind of feel like the main interest was a good guy, or did you not?
You know what's interesting is,
because I have my take, but I want to hear what you say.
I think Regina definitely had this boy wrapped around her finger in some sort of, you know, emotional way, out of this, like, the stake that she could still like cheat on him and he still like respected her as a human being. Like, but all men are dogs, like, really, like, and I think that it was like not cool of him to like just go right back to Regina, you know, like after acting interested in Katie. That was a little quick and a little like, okay, if you were really that interested in Katie, that was really quick of you to just take her back. But there's got to be some sort of emotional tie.
In the movie, I know Katie's a freshman and this man's a senior, so I'm already like, wah wah wah. Number two, which I didn't know that as a kid. I thought he was like a sophomore or something, but he's not. Number two, I didn't like how his attention would easily divert from Katie to Regina very easily, and not like, obviously we don't know the extent of their relationship. Like, did he really, really love her and she just happened to cheat on him all the time and that's why they broke up the first time? Well, she broke up with him. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, the legitimate emotional tie he had to her. So I'm just going to assume that they dated for only a little bit and he's just sexually attracted to her, because clearly they don't talk about a lot of stuff, you know, like literally they don't talk about anything other than how attractive they are to each other and they make out. So when he so easily jumped back to Regina, I didn't like that. And then number two, right after he was done with Regina, he instantly started talking to Katie, like, right away. And I was just like, so did you like Regina? Because if you did, then Katie's just a rebound.
I think you're right in that sense. But yeah, rebound. But
and then number two,
when she started dogging on Regina, he's like, dude, you're kind of weird, like obsessively, like, you know, out to get this girl.
Well, that's the one thing I'll give him, is he gave her the best roast ever when she was at the house party. He's like, you're weirdly obsessed with Regina, and although she's a bad person, you need to recognize that you still tend to do bad stuff too, you know?
Yeah,
like, he's like, you're a mean girl. Like her, like you're roasting a girl that you sound just like. So that's the one that I'll give him. But like, okay, so my two options were, if he really liked Regina and then he instantly started talking to Katie right after, Katie's just a rebound. Number two, if he didn't really like Regina and just liked her sexually, and then he was already going after Katie, he's still a dog. That's why I don't like him. Like, I feel like I'm a hopeless romantic when they try to put like couples together in movies. So I'm like very, very particular about how it happens. Does it feel organic? Does it feel like chemistry? Or does it feel like you're lonely or you're just sexually attracted to them? And that's what it kind of felt like in the movie to me. And I wasn't really crazy about it. What did you think about the absolute like rundown of the school with the burn book and the papers and the way that Regina got her really, really good sweet revenge by doing that.
Literally, that's my justice for Regina moment. Like, literally, when she was like watching the school burn down. Also, like, I feel like that could be memed. Like some of the fights that were going on in the hall, like me if mine and my friends' texts were to ever get out, like kind of shit, like the wild shit we be saying, or like, I think what's interesting is, I think with our friend group, we really developed throughout college a healthy way of talking about, like, hey, I might have to vent about Kailen, maybe, you know, like I might have to like let it off my chest because I'm not really sure how to approach her, but this is bothering me. And deducting that, like, not all conversations about one another is shit talking. I think it has to be productive in some sense. It has to be like, she's really going through it, understand this character art she's going through, but like we got to work on it. And I think that they usually do lead to either these little like mini interventions or just like, hey, checking in on you, I noticed you've been making one too many jokes that sounded like maybe this might be going on. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I watch this movie, I feel like it reminds me so much of like what shit talking is when you truly just don't care about somebody and you're almost
like the teacher
on their downfall kind of thing, you know,
like them pushing it all the way to her. She pushes drugs, like that's literally like they just didn't give a fuck. But like look at how it affected her.
You're having fun just saying anything about somebody. Even then, if you weren't making up lies, let's say you were just shit talking somebody. If you're just shit talking all the time, whether it's about one person or several people, and you have nothing but bad things to say about them, like at that point, you're enjoying it and you hate yourself. Like, you know, like there's a difference between saying to your friend, "Hey, I love our other friend, but she's kind of bothering me. Can I like tell you how I feel?" And then, like, even then, how do you think I should move forward? Or do you feel the same way? Am I kind of crazy? Like, stuff like that. I kind of get triggered when I watch this movie because, just being honest, I had a really hard shit-talking phase in high school. Like, a really bad phase where I was super, super insecure. And I would just talk smack about people because I felt really wronged. Like, you know what? You know the way you described that girls would come after you, never ever felt popular? Well, I was in this weird middle where people really liked me, and then people also thought I was weird. You know, so on top of it, I was on the cheer team, and the cheerleaders didn't like me, like at all. For some time before we started becoming friends near the end of my junior year, which sucks. It's a lot of years to go not really close with people that you're on a sport team with all the time. So, like, I was really good because I could tumble, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was a gymnast. Okay, I knew what I was doing, but that didn't matter. Like, it didn't seem to like carry me through to have friendships with them. They just thought I was weird. They thought what I was into was weird. They thought I dressed weird. Like, the way they looked at me and the way that I would hear things that they'd say about me, like how they thought I was weird, you know, it bothered me. So about freshman and sophomore year, I would shit talk about them, but I was like, almost like I knew my place. I was like, oh my God, like I can't say too much or they'll come after me. Then my junior year, I don't know what shit I was on. I think it's because I got varsity on the cheer team because they would only let juniors and up have the opportunity to be in varsity. You weren't guaranteed it. So when I got on varsity, only me and 2 other girls got on varsity, and the rest of the girls that were mean to me were on JV. So it's almost like I felt like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want to say, and I just started shit talking, not really covering my, you know, tracks. my tracks and shit like that. And you know,
I loved the way it was worded. Word vomit, like. Dude, like when you're in the room, because listen, I have had to learn the self-control to not do that sometimes, especially in work settings, because like I'll be sitting next to somebody and I'll be like, you know what would be so instantly gratifying right now during these boring 8 hours I'm here, what would take up a good at least 50 minutes of shit talking, like that's what would really, and then it just slips out like, hey, you know what this person said? I thought that was weird, didn't you? And like they get so angry, and then like when you run into maybe the person you were mentioning or quoting, oh, cat, they're like giving you a weird look now, and you're like, ugh.
Well, no, I feel like the struggle that I've had to learn into my adult years is that, like, first of all, shit talking is wrong, guys. We're not trying to like promote it on our podcast, but
I don't know. Sometimes it's well warranted. Depends on what it is.
I'm a human being. I'm not gonna lie. I have shit talk in my life in the past, just to shit talk, and I try really hard not to do that now.
Shit
but sometimes
talk.
it just feels good. Sometimes it's like I want to feel validated for maybe some stupid thing someone said that I don't agree with. And
Well,
you know
yeah,
what?
no.
The healthy place would be I'm secure in my opinions about others, and I don't need other people to validate me for it. And that's the healthy thing to do. But sometimes it just gets out.
Here, take my opinion or leave my opinion. It's only shit talking if it's got shit in it. And by bullshit, I mean. So if they're lying, if it's a lie, that's shit talking. If I'm just speaking what you said or telling the truth, I don't think that's lying.
You're completely right. Because what I was saying was I was more so... Okay, actually, my story is fucked up. Okay, the kind of shit talking I do now is when I have a problem with somebody, just like Kailen said. Actually shit in it. When I was in high school, let's say somebody wronged me, I would probably say what they did to upset me, but I'd also come after them, whether there was their like personality, their looks,
and you're balding, and
you're balding, and you're gay, and you're, whatever. At the time, I was like, I think I was homophobic at the time. But
now you're gay.
No, the funny thing is like my sexual awakening was a woman. Like the first time I ever felt horny feelings was like,
hey, that's what it is. Bullying is like projecting your insecurities. That's why when you see cis men get so angry.
I had religious trauma. That's actually why I did it.
But when you see cis men get so angry, they're like, just kiss already. Like, come on,
that's
just
totally
make up.
For me, I didn't even know what like gay feelings were. I was like, everybody thinks the girls are pretty, right? Like I'm still straight. Like I thought gay feelings were like you want to marry someone of the same gender. Like that when I was a kid. Like that's how I viewed it. But then once I like really started going through puberty and I was like, I don't think it's just that I think they're pretty. And even then, that's still gay too. I just don't think I had a good understanding of
gay too.
I didn't have a good understanding of what gay was because I grew up in a really like religious trauma filled household. But anyways, so like I think there is healthy shit talking in the sense of like if there is a toxic person in the environment and you have a trusted coworker or friend that you're like, hey dude, what's up with this fucking person? That's fine. If you have a friend group and you want to like confront your friend about something in a healthy way, but maybe you want like some feedback from your other friend, like, am I going crazy myself? Like that's fine. But like the kind of shit talking that was happening in this movie, like they were making up lies. They were coming after girls' like taste and style. Like you saw it with Regina. She's like, I love that skirt. Vintage? That was the fucking ugliest skirt I've ever seen. So like doing stuff like that, like you're doing it just to benefit you and also to just secretly hate on somebody because you think it's funny. Like your type of humor thinks it's funny, you know, and that's not funny, you know? Like, if you don't like somebody's skirt, why the fuck are you going to tell them? That's an extra level. Like... That's crazy. But yeah, so the movie was filled with conflict left and right. Girls saying things about each other left and right. What did you think about the solution in regards to trying to get the girls to stop shit talking? Did you think that it was a band-aid solution? Did you think that it taught them something?
It was... The thing is like, I get that they were trying to hold certain people accountable and like have this whole take accountability thing. The thing is I just like what happened in the movie is some people will weaponize the opportunity to take jabs at each other. Some people will be like, sorry, you guys, you know, are sensitive. And then I'm, you know, like, it's just, and especially in a public setting, like that's why therapists will literally make people leave the room to really dig deep and like get past those surface feelings. So in practice, no, but for the movie, I get it. Like they just wanted to try to show a quick way to hold everybody accountable.
I have this 50-50 opinion about it where I felt like the teacher made some really amazing points where she said, has anybody been called a slut here? And all of them were. And she's like, have you called anyone a slut here? And they all were like this, like raising their hands. And she's like, dude, the more you call each other sluts makes men think they can do it. And it's already not cool when they do it. Why would it be cool if you do it? Like, why are we like, you know, putting women down in a way that refers to their sexual being? Like, why are we doing that? You know? She's like, it's this never-ending cycle of hate, right? So I really felt like she had good points in the sense of you guys are only attacking each other because you feel attacked and you feel upset yourself. But my 50 reason why I don't think it really mattered is I feel like when you were that age, there are lessons going into your mid-20s that you just have to keep relearning. So it's almost like maybe the first time where they're really getting slapped on the wrist for their behavior, because the way I just mentioned my unhealthy arcs, some mini ones that I had in high school, they didn't end in college. I still did that stuff early college, and then lost some friends from it, got in some really bad fights, and then finally realized, okay, there might be some opinions that I have of other people that I shouldn't always share, or even quote unquote privately share, because it will probably get back to them. Even then, why am I sharing it? Why can't I just keep it to myself? And whether it's true or not, who cares? Because you're always going to have opinions about people, but I think the fact that you're wanting to voice them, is not healthy all the time. If it's not for a good reason, like we said, if it's not actually full of shit, like
yeah, if somebody's literally like let's say it's like there's a particular boy at school that's going around and literally making girls feel uncomfortable. Like, girl, I'm gonna talk about him for hours. Like, we need to do something about him. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. Well, and he's ugly. no, maybe not the last part. But... Dude, when we were talking about Karen, you were quoting her when she's like, "Oh yeah, she's so annoying." Anyways, oh hey, like that was me sometimes. So.
Hi. I don't know. It was weird. I felt like, I feel like I've grown a lot in the past several years. Like, I'm not saying any of this is recent, guys. Like, this is like stuff from my freshman to some of my sophomore year of college, where I found myself like in the wrong friend groups that cared about the wrong things, and I was already insecure, and I like was like, oh, if we all feel this way, like I'm just gonna participate because it feels good, and all other people agree with me. And then I found myself like losing friends, losing my reputation, like over things that I was like, I could have literally never said that and had a great day. Like, why did I say it if it really didn't matter that much, So what I'm saying though is that I feel like these girls did learn a lesson, but it was a lesson that I think they're going to have to keep learning. I don't think it's something you just learn once and then it's over,
Yeah.
When you're that young, in my opinion. Like, they're literally 17, 18-year-olds, like, and I wasn't really learning that lesson until about 20 years old. 21.
Yeah.
Because when I think of like a 17 or 18-year-old, I'm like, okay, you're a fetus. And then when I think of a 20 or 21-year-old, I'm like, okay, you're like a 3-year-old child. Like, you still are a child,
Yeah.
Mentally. But
yeah, it's definitely hard. Like, I don't know. I think also just navigating, finding your people, and then like almost just like, especially if you come from any sort of ounce of trauma, which I don't know, seems to be like a little bit of a common thing for most people, running into it once or twice in their life.
You're making a really good point about the trauma thing, because I think for me, like, there were people going into college that weren't having to learn those lessons that I was. And like, when I look at their backgrounds, not that I should assume, but I'm just guessing, they just seem like they came from much more stable households where they were like taught how to behave better. And for me, and the other examples of people that I saw acting like me when we were being unhealthy, very, very bad households. Like, not like very abusive parents, narcissistic parents, and other family members, siblings, stuff like that, which clearly they learned it from their parents too. But I just feel like it is a lesson that people who come from worse off home lives probably deal with a little longer than people who don't. But yeah, the movie, I don't know, something about the ending of the movie, I'm very happy that everybody like
I know it was first of all, just an overall review, solid, like beginning, middle, and end. And like, so I have seen, or I've heard the musical Heathers and like know what the story is through that. I've not seen the movie Heathers, but I know the story, and I liked Heathers. And this one, I feel like if you were to pick two very similar like plots, you could pick them. But the thing with Heathers is, they have the girl joining the trio of popular girls, and instead of someone kind of like learning a lesson, because like Victoria in Heathers was a dick to her friend, and she did get it caught up with this boy, but then they accidentally killed the popular girl, and then the boyfriend murdered two dudes, and then he tried to like blow up the whole school. and then at the very end she just asked her friend, like, do you want to go watch a movie? Like, so it felt very much like it didn't even seem about like the whole well, think about this. The movie or the musical is no longer about like a Mean Girls thing. It's about like this crazy boy and like he's trying to kill everyone and we got to save the town, which is very interesting in itself. But this movie, it goes full circle. It goes back to the topic of her being a dick and held her accountable. I meant to say that, so thank you for reminding me.
I actually really loved that Regina found a sport where she could release her anger in, because I communicate with fucking 40-year-old adults who don't even know how to communicate their anger. So like just finding like that's a very realistic way to like figure out how to deal with your emotions. And then you might not always have sports to go to after that, but you can work out, you know, you can go on bicycle rides, all this stuff, like, and then seeing them wave at each other at the end, like clearly they had to have done some level of healing to be able to do that, because Katie really did come for her ass. She came for like Katie did some really fucked up shit, you know? And I just feel like by the end of it, they had to have learned that they were all acting not as themselves, which is why they did those things. And then they forgave their past selves because they were like, you know, you did it for really stupid reasons. And I know that's not who you are. We don't need to be friends though, but like, you know. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I noticed every girl had kind of gone their own way. Like, even, I don't know if Karen, Gretchen, and Regina still talk, but they kind of made it seem like they don't. You know? They kind of made it seem like they found their friend groups that they're meant to be in.
Yeah. I mean, I will say with Gretchen, it looks like she's doing the same shit, though. Just shit talking. It's just in a different community.
Yeah.
I will say that.
I know. I was like, Gretchen, I hope you got a little better or something.
I hope you're okay, girl.
It's rough though, because I will say, like, my last kind of like comments about the movie before I asked you yours is that the more I watch this movie, the older I get, I feel less and less connected to the movie because I'm aging and I have different ways of dealing with conflict. Not that I agreed with what these bitches were doing when I was like 16, but there was like a level of excitement watching this high school bullshit go down, you know? Because I had like, I either wasn't in high school or I was just entering high school, and it felt like this crazy, crazy new world. So now when I watch it, I get this like very sad feeling of like, this isn't one of those movies anymore that I can put on a girlies' night and we actually like laugh really, really hard, because we're just not really like a part of that time of our lives anymore, you know?
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, I mean, that's
sad.
I feel like I wish I would have seen this movie younger, because I feel like it would have maybe helped me realize certain lessons a little sooner. I don't know if it's my Libra, Chiron, or whatever it is. I really cared about what people thought about me from around, and I had very much like this people-pleasing tendency. Also, I had the wish that I wanted everyone to be happy, and like, even if you were to tell me straight to my face as a child, you cannot make everyone happy, I would have really not like been okay with that news. I would have still really like sought after it. And I think this movie is like just one of those, like, for example, when they all went their separate ways, it's just like, and people still hated her and they had reasons to. Like, she was the girl who wrote the burn book, you know?
Dude, deadass, like the way that they talked about, I don't like using this word, but like social suicide, like the way they talked about the severity of how people view you was really accurate, I felt like, to the way that I felt about high school when I was in high school. Like, when you do something in high school, and this happened to my sister, like, you get labeled for that the rest of high school. They're so unforgiving about it. And you have to get to this point where you accept that people are going to think what they want about me, and they might not like me, and I don't give a shit, you know, like, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, these aren't the last people I ever meet and stuff like that. It's actually weird. Once in a blue moon, because I'm a grown adult now, I'm 25, I'm like, I wonder what people from high school, if we all sat in a room, like, what do we think about each other now? Just out of curiosity. Like, personally, I don't care what you guys are doing. I don't hate you. You know, I hope you're living your life, but like, I truly don't hate you, or I'm not as bothered by you anymore. If there was something you did that hurt my feelings. There is one person that was so crappy to me. And I don't even like necessarily care. I'm saying that I don't think we could ever be friends. Like if she showed up in this room right now, I'd be like, and you probably still hate me. And she'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, and I never really knew why, but okay, like whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that's just, God, we've even met adults our age where we get shocked that, like, the way that they view these kinds of, like, conflicts or the idea of growth, like, very much like high school. Like, they'll literally, like, they have a burn book at home. You could tell. Like,
yeah. And then even then, there was these girls that, like, made my senior year of cheer so bad. And I genuinely think that if I sat down and talked to them now, we could talk it out. I'd be like, dude, like, I was a completely different person. Now, if they just showed up in front of me, I'd be like, okay, the vibes are weird right now because I know you fucked me over. So if you want to talk about it, we can. I won't get mad at you now, but like, I will say I have not forgotten.
mm-hmm.
That's like how I would be. But like, I ran into one of them when I was working at Target. I told you, I was like,
yeah,
it was rough. But
yeah, I've just told myself, like, even in situations like that, like, they clearly don't care about me, or they're not one of the people in my circles that love me, and they don't know what I'm trying to do with my life, or they don't know what I have going on. They can make whatever judgments they want to make, because even if I were, like, I think there's a people-pleasing part of me deep, deep in me that just wants to, like, prove them wrong, and, like, I've gotten to a point where I'm very comfortable with, like, people really thinking the nastiest, dirtiest things ever.
Dude, same. I'm like, dude, I'll just keep him over there, I guess. Like,
yeah, like, okay.
Like,
if anything, you look kind of goofy. Like,
I feel like I have like such a strong sense of self-concept now that I'm like, dude, like, unless I did something wrong to you and you want to talk about it, work it out, like, I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to be responsible to fix it. Well, like, I'm not necessarily responsible to fix it in the first place, but I'm saying I would totally talk to you if there's something I did wrong, own up to it. Maybe I don't remember, maybe whatever the fuck. But also, you could think the most vile thing about me. Honestly, I don't mind. I don't want to hear it, though. Like, I'd rather just go do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody was stalking me or, like, sending me shitty messages all the time, I'd be like, first of all, you're obsessed with me. In the wise words of Regina George, you're obsessed with me. And number 2, block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. I hope you liked the movie. I was kind of sad watching it. Like I said, I just feel like I'm aging out of the movie now, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one for the vault. And like I said, I wish I had seen it as a teenager. Was there anything else to note?
It's not like the number 1 movie I'll show to my kids, but I think it's a movie I'd want my kids to watch just because it has a really good lesson at the end of it.
She still gets with the boy, doesn't she?
I know, she a freshman.
It's not a good fit.
It's not a good fit. He's a senior. She's like,
I liked when Damien kissed what's her face. They're like, never again. Because they both were queer. Also, they were friends, so that was a little weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
Wait, wow. We don't even know what Mariah's recording for the podcast. I guess she could just edit it at the end.
Yeah, what's that woman recording?
Yeah, we don't know yet, guys. Any more questions? Yeah, I don't have a lot to say.
Any more questions? Well, I mean, we could just stop it now. I don't have any other. Like, I'm just looking at the Damien photo of him in his hoodie, and it makes me like. I see people make tweets now that use Mean Girls.
I've seen this actually
all the time. They use that one, and they use the one of Regina standing in the hallway with shit just going crazy around her. And it's iconic, and it will last forever.
We never talked about her getting hit by a bus.
Yeah, she got hit by a bus, but I personally think that's a manifestation of her karma. I think she was.
Oh my god, I can't.
I think she was a really bad person, dude. Like, I think Katie went above and beyond to. It's almost like, okay, if there's a boss in a game that you gotta beat, and he's so freaking strong, and the only way you can beat him is if you, like, literally are more powerful than him. That is what Katie was to Regina. Regina was already making people's lives really shitty, being a horrible person, causing, like, I love her though. I'm sorry, I just like her. But she was causing like a lot of problems.
Mhm.
And then, you know, she added somebody to her crew, not thinking that they were gonna like imitate her and ruin her life. And I feel like it was just like karma. I don't think somebody should get hit by a bus. I'm just saying I think the movie was using that on purpose. I think the movie was showing that like she did get her karma, you know?
Yeah.
Her friends turned against her. She gained a bunch of weight that she didn't want. And she lost her manses, and then on top of it all got hit by a bus. I think she learned a lot from that. She said, oh, you know what people think about you? They think that you're just a homeschooled jungle freak who's a less hot version of me. Hotter version of me. Yeah, and like I hear that all the time on TikTok. That audio is so funny. But
it is a good one.
Yeah, I don't think somebody should get hit by a bus for that kind of karma, but I just think that's what the movie was trying to show, you know?
Because honestly, she was able to get right back up and go do some rugby. Like, she just was in a brace for a minute. Like, she's fine.
She literally was in the brace. Everybody was like, we want you to be okay, Regina. And she's sitting in her bed and she was like, with her little fucking neck thing. Like, I think she learned what important lessons she needed to, but like, you know, whatever.
Dude, her mom saw her get hit by a bus too. She was right there to pick her up.
Yeah, it's crazy because the movie never like shows like what would that scene would have been.
5.
Shut up. What would it have been like having to like pick a girl up off the road after being hit by a bus? Like they really kind of dramatized it, making it like they really did not put that meat in the middle. Like we just saw her in a bed, and really that probably wasn't like an atrocity to witness.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely Hollywoodified.
Like damn, like if somebody was hit by a bus and you had to like literally go up to them, help them out, like I'd be like, dude, they are fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
that was
guys,
bing bong boom.
Mariah, wait, we didn't even mention Mariah was not here.
Yes, we did. We said Mariah's not here. It's just us.
We didn't do anything goofy like pretend she was here. It's okay. We'll have Mariah right now cut and clip it so that she's talking and telling us what we're going to talk about, and we're going to edit it so we're like.
And if she doesn't, wait. And if she doesn't, that's because she didn't like our idea. All right. So
okay. Mariah, what's your idea for next week?
Bum bum bum.
Hello, guys. Next week for the podcast, I'm sharing a movie called V for Vendetta. It's a movie that I watched when I was a small kid that I definitely shouldn't have watched. And then when I was older, I said, oh, I loved this movie. And then rewatched it. And I said, why was I watching this movie at so young? But I definitely think in our older brains, this is a good movie that you guys will enjoy. It's something different than what I've shared before. Okay.
Oh my God. So excited, guys. Can't wait to watch that.
Well, see you next week, guys.
See you next week. Mariah, say bye.
Thanks, Mariah. Bye.